our project for Concordia University, Wisconsin. So the abstract of the regarding the project is the necessary and identification of irritability regarding sleep and inability to contain a regular sleep schedule within the individual, as long as then on a wider scale of the majority of the population in the U.S. and across the world. And so this goes against the recommendation of adult individuals who should be gaining an average of 8 hours within the variance of 7 to 9 hours in order to gain proper nourishment and refreshment of the body and its functions through Esteban 2021, page 2. The keywords to note within the project are phone screen time, mental health, sleep schedule, and sleep behavior. From the article review of a DMAIC of bottleneck process regarding dessert production in Asia. So specifically what the article highlights is that Six Sigma allows for value identification and labeling of both qualitative and quantitative aspects of the production process, specifically highlighting areas might be overperforming or we're causing loss, and that's essentially creating waste and trying to save the company both time and resources. This is from Nandar Kumar to 2020. And then applying this to the project, especially this highlights the bottlenecks in the sense of the body's inability to create sleep, or where there could be bottlenecks trying to enter sleep or waking up. Potentially this is through the phones, like preventing sleep, or it's causing to wake up sooner than the body is ready, or the eyes need to be refreshed. And so, and then further than this implying that a continually improvement is in the application would be regularly going these sleep study processes, both within the initial period, as long as with successive projects, trying to build on the improvement process and trying to see where there's implementing and changes. Define. So the problem identification specifically is the inability to maintain regular sleep. This leading to an average of 6.5 hours, which is significantly below the average recommended of the 7 to 9. And as a result, there has been increased number of late attendances for work and unhealthy eating habits due to when meals are eaten. Then in terms of product explanation, the key variables. So the key stakeholders are going to be the supervisor and coworkers. The boss manager is the one who's most impacted by any late attendances, along with expectations for being at events or meeting with potential recruits or submitting and producing graphic content. And then the performance indicators are going to be daily sleep intake, recorded time of waking, and expected hours of sleep. First two sleep variables will help the establish of what the daily sleep intake from the time going to sleep to the time waking. You can set a timer on the phone, but that won't be the same as being able to set exactly what time. And this is to indicate when the phone is not being in use, is when you're recording that time of entering sleep. And then as well as then the expected hours of sleep will serve as the counterpoint for when undergoing data analysis. SIPOC is going to be explored later on in the presentation. As for benefits, environmental is reducing the need for electricity. This helps while on the one personal scale, on a larger scale when applying to other individuals, it can help reduce that electrical need, meaning there's going to be less resources spent towards generators and power and better spent towards other environmentally green productions. Socially, it will increase social interactions and energy. Frequent sleep deprivation causes individuals to not want to engage socially. Along with then, this could hinder both personal life development as long as career development due to the lack of connections. And financially, it's a higher rate of attendance on time equals more money. When an employer can see that you're putting in the effort to showing on time for work, they're more likely to reward those individuals who show they are consistent and following along with the company's procedures. In terms of the SIPOCs, we have suppliers, inputs, process outputs, and customers. The main suppliers are going to be really Concordia, Wisconsin, and those in relation to the school, which is The food providers, as long as local grocery stores, the sun, the personal body and brain. The sun is more towards the vitamin D and gaining that natural light exposure. Meanwhile, the inputs are going to be a lot of what the sun provides, along as with the personal support system, who will be able to provide the qualitative inputs and feedback if they've seen a remarkable improvement or declination in regards to sleep gained. In terms of processes, they're mainly going to be limiting phone time, regimenting sleep, consulting with support system, and then undergoing sleep study just to gain both a mental and a medical understanding of the body. As long as then the outputs are increasing work rate, higher kind of on-time appearances at work, and improved mood. These three variables are going to have the most impact in sustaining other outputs that are secondary and not directly affected by this project. In terms of the customers, it will be the subject of myself, along with then similar working adults when expanding how sleep can be improved and altered, as sleep deprivation is common in young adults and college students. Measure. So daily time woken up, as can be seen, is steadily decreasing over the study time period from October 23rd to December 25th. This shows a better decline and stabilization of the hours, roughly going to just north of 9:30 in the morning. This would get closer within the 9 to 5 hours. Ideally, with the next second period, with the next testing period, that would be below 9 with a smaller variance. Entering sleep data. So the average time going to sleep was 2:54 a.m. As can be seen, there's much greater irritability of time going to sleep. This could be due from both the season and marketing, like when academic courses are, as long as the busyness of the work schedule, given that the profession does require late hours of working and getting score reports. So over time, it does slowly decrease. However, in order to get proper sleep, it would need to get more stabilization, as can be seen prior with the daily time woken up. So the comparison of the time woken up to total hours slept. So notably, the average time slept across the time recorded period was 7 hours and 7 minutes. The lowest time was 6 hours and the longest time was 8. While the longest time slept is within the average, the lowest time slept does need to be improved in order to just at least be a minimum of 6 in order to reduce the overall variance. The analyzed paired t-test, so this is calculated using recorded sleep in comparison to expected sleep over a 69-day period. Notably that the p-value shows that we've rejected the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis that recorded sleep and expected sleep differ. This goes against the average recommended hours of sleep because people, while it is this recommendation, this study would indicate that within this one person sample over 69 days, that a majority of adults do not gain the expected recommended hours of sleep consistently. They may gain between 17 hours, but it is rarely ever consistent. Implement. So the measuring improvement is going to be mainly through qualitative sleep recordings. So while there's the quantitative proof, qualitative means that you're actually feeling refreshed and nourished upon awaking, not simply that you're sleeping for the act of sleeping, as well as an expanding study to an entire calendar year, the purpose of which is to gain a proper understanding beyond just a smaller sample of 69 days, whereas 365 will provide considerable input. And then implementing change. First of all, we'll be incorporating app timers and phone locks. This will meant to decrease screen time use, as long as increasing natural light exposure. As such, the body does need vitamin D, along with giving the eyes a rest from the artificial light of the phone. And then, especially when there are going to be the days of working later alternative hours, this is applicable to other professions, is delaying that sleep schedule to best fit profession. So while work schedule may not start until 10 or 11, going to sleep around 2 or 3 is possibly acceptable, or if someone's need to work an overnight shift, they can then apply and continually over time adjust earlier or later for when they need to go to bed. That matches more time for when they need to get up and go to work, as well as then the relevant personnel, or the personnel support system, family, friends, coworkers. myself, the author of the project, as well as the medical professionals. The expected time, so the 365 data entry tables with the option for quarterly marks. This will mark the seasonal sleep differences, as long as then there will be a special highlighted cell of when there will be a 24-hour separate period for a sleep study. This may alter or be different because of the time recorded, which is they want you to sleep between 10 and 6 a.m., which may differ from the author's average time. So when they're going to sleep and waking up, this is just to make note. And then the control is the limits and parameters. So the limit is going to be sleeping between 7 and 9 hours. This is to match the medically recommended amount of sleep, as well as then the parameters are accepting 6 to 9 hours of sleep each period. This is to accommodate unusual life events or alterations if there's need to wake up earlier than the expected or average time, or if there's possibly sickness, in which case there may be more additional sleep required for the body to combat any illness, as well as then setting phone timers between 1 and 2 hours, so which this is again reducing that phone use, and then engaging in screen-free time. This is beyond just the screen access. This is either reading a book, walking, going out, as well as then the operating response is the review of mobile application use, which is increasing or decreasing timers correspondingly. Some may have higher or lesser importance, as well as then adding a timer for computer time use, which is further restricting screen time intake while gaming is a pastime and relational to the profession. For constant improvement, you have to look at all aspects, and this is one of those which has a high significant value of relation to positive enjoyment. But if there has been known to be times, not just among the author themselves, but with others, in which case they may not be gaining the healthy amount, they may be going beyond that, in which case there would then need to be corrective procedures, which is applying the deletion of applications found to be frequently suppressing these timers. While timers do serve a purpose, if you can see that they're constantly falling issue and even reducing the time is not allowing so, perhaps it is time, especially if they're entertainment related, to engage in a period of separation, and then they could face possible reintegration depending on if there's been shown marketed improvement in allowable time. And as well as then this will be subtracting any allowable time for personal computer use, and as well as this relational to work and restricting time only to what is needed for work, as well as then requiring nap time. Although difficulty to simply force oneself to sleep, simply forcing oneself to lie in bed at least to rest their eyes is one way to engage within sleep, or what would be considered a nap behavior, as well as then raising required natural light exposure time in relation to when waking up. Studies have shown as soon as you wake up, the faster, more time you engage with the natural light, the more refreshed and ready the body is. And then the control, measure, limit, image. So what's shown is the weekly expectation. So instead of just marking what it would be daily, so we marked in daily within the weekly within the timers. So each day has either a period of 1 to 2 hours compiled into over across 7 days. This is adjustable, while each day should have the same timer. If there's some days where it might be expected to be more, whether due to watching something necessary for work or reading something due to research or practice, there are adjustable times, but this is what is expected. Now, what is of note is that any excess intake or shortage of sleep hours will be showing green for when you do not surpass any timers, as well as then showing in red for when you surpass. Now, any meeting times of when you meet the time limit is not very much expected to be just at 0, in which case that is why it is not presented. So success in any of the timers indicates there might be area of adjustment for the timer, while the green may indicate you can increase the timer allowed in order for proper improvement according to the Six Sigma process. You could potentially reduce the timer further or keep the timers as set as they are and see where you can improve. Specifically in this example is YouTube and computer gaming have shown an excess, in which case reducing those timers or reducing timers of other applications and giving it to others could serve as another way of improving or seeing where the average intake should be on a healthy and regular amount. these are the references. Thank you for watching this presentation of the MBA 542 Six Sigma presentation by Aaron Pedersen. If you have any questions, this is the email provided. The format and layout of the slides is through SlidesGo.